Ladies and gentlemen, people ask me how to set up the jig. So pick 3 little shaped knives and I'll quickly show you guys how to do exactly that, right? So you got a question, ask. So number 1, what you need to do is realize that your jig comes with 2 additional little screws, and those screws are located right there. So let's put them back in place. So the jig is now completely reset exactly as you receive it. Yeah, well, not the angle. The angle is... So when you get your jig... Come on! When you get your jig, it's set up like that. Maximum back tilt. It's got those 2 little screws, what we call support screws. So first step is you're going to take those out. Alright, put them close. Don't lose them. If you're afraid you're going to lose them, just leave them in there. But what I need for you to look at is the hole pattern. Okay. And then there's a couple of things we need to consider. When I put a knife on the jig, I want the edge of the knife to be parallel to the top of the jig. All right? Does that make sense? But I do not, from the front face, want to see the top of the jig. So I want to get that edge 3 to 5 millimeters above. So we're going to flip this around so you can view it from back. I want my knife to protrude 3 to 5 mils above the jig, but still have majority of the edge parallel to the top of the jig. Yeah? Okay. So what we're then going to do, once I've got a knife kind of positioned, I'm now going to look at the holes, the hole patterns. Oh, that one there will work. And that one there will work. See that? And that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bolts. And I'm going to put a bolt in there. All right. Then take your time to do this. Thank you. And I want that bolt to come out and create a little shelf where the spine of my knife can sit onto. Right. And now find the other little hole. I suspect it was that one there. Wait to double check. Turn the jig around, edges parallel. Yeah. So now I can see I can actually use that hole there or that one. Let's use the far out one. Come on, go in there. All right. So now my knife has got 2 little shelves it can sit on. Now, it can still slide left to right, obviously changing the angle of the bevel. So let me just show you this. It can still slide on those shelves. It can slide left and right, and it's going to change the angle of my bevel. Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to find a position where the edge is parallel, like it is there. I'm going to grab the marker that's been letting me down today, and I'm going to make a little mark. And it's not letting me make a little mark, is it? There we go. So a little mark on that side. I'm holding this down, and I'm now going to do a little line, and I'm just going to eye it on this side. Right. Okay, now I will clamp down using a little G-clamp. If my lovely assistant will quickly help me here. Get off your phone, dude, and come and help me. There we go. Sorry, I've got my son. I don't know here. Clamp it, buddy. He hasn't been paying attention. Done. That's it. That's good. Okay, so you can use a little G-clamp, and there you go. Now you're going to set your angle, and you're going to go grind. But that was never the problem. The problem was, how do I then move this thing over without adjusting any of the angles? So I've now ground my one side perfectly. In other words, my jig's forward angle has now been set. All right. And I did a previous video on how to do that, but we'll run through this a bit later. So when I'm actually going to be grinding, so quickly run you through it. Right. Put it down, run it all the way forward. Now you've got edges scribed, your edge thickness is scribed. You're going to go up to your grinder, and you're going to grind up to your line, which is now basically just going to break the edge. Okay, keeping in mind that if my grinder is there, Sean, be the grinder. That's my grinding belt. Yeah, or grab me one of those little blocks behind you. No, block on the table behind you. Little white. There we go. That's a grinding belt. All right. Keep it upright, please, sir. Thank you. So I am now going to run this thing, and it's pretty much at the angle. It's going to break it just under 45 degrees. I'm going to grind up to my scribe line. All right. Then I'm going to decrease the angle, which is going to increase the height of grind. I'm going to grind, and I'm going to continue decreasing the angle, locking these lock nuts up every single time I do that, until I am satisfied with the height of the grind that I've achieved. When I'm at my height that I want, I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to make sure that these things are now locked up in place and don't move ever again. Okay, because the next step would be obviously to now go and flip this knife over to do the other side. Thank you, brother. Now, I'm going to loosen my clamp. I'm going to hand that to my handy helper, who's now not sleeping. And what I'm going to do is make sure that my little mark is there. My little marker line and the marker line on that side. Okay, so I'm putting my knife down. Now I'm looking at the whole pattern again. I am now going to move that bolt over to this side. So I'm 1 row, 2 rows, third from the top, 1 row, 2 rows, third from the top. So I'm taking that bolt, second row, third from the top, second row, 1, 2, 3, third from the top. Moving that bolt over to that side. Yeah. Taking this guy, first, second row, second from the top. First, second row, second from the top. Sticking her over there. Now I'm going to take my knife, and I was in that fashion. Now I'm going to go over to this fashion. Now remember, we talked about that issue. Now if I line up to my line on that edge, and I then get my lovely assistant to clamp down. Done. I can just continue grinding. Easy as that. Yeah. Hope that makes sense. What is this? This is the Black Dragon Forge Bevel Grinding Jig, and this one specifically is number 115, which is the second one out of 130 that I have nicked for myself. Why? Well, I'm lazy, right? So this is bevel one side that Arnu, you guys saw him earlier, that he ground. So that was, and this is finished up to a 120 grit, and then SEM surface conditioning media that was just run on a course. And that was it. He still needs to do the other side, and the other jig, which is over there. This one here is still set up for his angle, so we didn't want to change that angle, so I got a new one. All right, so now to do a weird blade shape, that one there. So we've now covered how to do that one, which is a fairly simple one. This was my D3, so design version 3. This was made from 6mm 5160, and we made, I think it was 1,200 of these over a period of 3 years, and then discontinued the design. So no, this is not for sale. Done there. So now, once again, I'm going to reset my jig by taking the 2 supporting bolts out. Don't drop them. But if you do, it's an M6 bolt. It's just got an M6 nut on the back. So if I've got it in there, I can just nip that up and it locks in place. So taking this thing, same thing applies, right? I want my edge parallel to the jig. I want it protruding 3 to 5 millimeters above. And for just ease, I'm just going to clamp that in there so I can pop it around. I want that to protrude 3 to 5 millimeters above. So that might be a bit high. Jack, how's it going, buddy? So about there, I'm good with that. And I'm just clamping this in because I only have 2 hands. You need 500 if you're a knife maker, you know this. And you won't believe it, I've got 2 guys standing next to me, right? Watching me do this. Okay, so I am going to be using that one there and that one there. See those? It's about the same height that it's going to be moved up if I use those 2 supporting bolts. Does that make sense? Now I can be clever and pull that side up and drop this side and use the same hole on both sides. So then it doesn't matter if I flip left or right. Yeah? So we're going to do that. Put the same hole on this side, which is the 4th one from the bottom. First row from the center, 4th one from the bottom. First row, 4th from the bottom. Okay, so now I'm going to take off my 3rd hand, put that on there. I'm just going to flip it over just to make sure that my edge is parallel. Edge is parallel. It's a tad high, but hey, it's parallel. So what I'm then going to do, let me just wipe. Oh no, would you mind getting me a marker, a real one, please? Because my marker doesn't want to mark anymore. There we go. Thanks, buddy. Doesn't. Kaha! Molen to the rescue. Alright, so what I'm going to do now, set it up, support it. Okay, go to the back, have a look, is that fairly parallel? Yes, it is. So I'm going to clamp it in place. Let me just clamp it on this side. Right, so it's fairly parallel. Got that there, it's supported on 2 points. Done. I can now remove the clamp, put the G-clamp on there. So remove the vice grip, put a G-clamp on there and go grind, or I can just grind with the vice grip. But what I want to do is the problem still comes if I want to flip this blade over. Because we saw if I move this blade left or right, the edge does this. So quick little cue. I'm going to make a little line there, a little mark there. Indicates that. And the same thing on this side. Happiness? Okay, so now, if I now loosen this and I flip it over, I'm lining those 2 marks that I made on the inside. One there and one there. See my 2 little marks? Done. Now I clamp down and I'm at exactly the same place, just the other orientation. Hope that makes sense? Yeah? So now I can grind that side of my blade. If I want to flip over for whatever reason, I want to grind the other side again. Support that. Move it over, bring it back, line up the 2 little marks and clamp her down. There you go. So that was as difficult as it comes. Right, so we do a 3rd blade shape. Where's that Nesmuk? I don't know. The one with the weird tip. Nesmuk. Sean, get in there. Grab me a Nesmuk, please. Okay, so once again, resetting it. Don't drop your nuts. It's not a good thing. Not a good thing. All right, so Nesmuk, weird blade shape. Right. Okay, but Niels, that one and the previous one, the handles look very similar. Yes, they are very similar. It's actually exactly. It's just different sizes. Okay, but anyway, getting this one in there, once again, same thing. I don't want to see the jig from the front. If you see it from the front, you're probably going to grind it. So I'll much rather move the knife over. Okay, I'm just going to temporarily clamp it up to make sure that when I view it from the back, my edge is parallel. Edge is parallel. There we go. Now, we're going to play spot the hole. Spot the hole and spot the hole. There. So maybe if I do that one and that one. So once again, see, that hole and that hole is going to work because it's about the same distance that the knife has to drop. So we'll lock it up. It's the same bloody holes as the other design, which is awesome. Yeah. So four from the bottom, 4 from the bottom, setting those up, removing my handy helper, dropping the knife down. Okay, hold on to it, flip it over, make sure that my edge is kind of parallel. Where do I want it? I want it about there. Okay, so I'm going to clamp it down again. Keep in mind that's purely temporarily. Zeesh. This marker leaves you a gap. It doesn't matter. Done. Okay, I've got 2 marks. So I can now flip this guy. So I will now go and grind, bladder, bladder, bladder. If I want to flip around, take that to the same position, get those marks in the middle, clamp it down again, and then go and grind. Happiness. That's how I flip lefty righty without a file guide. Now, with a file guide, that takes some time to fit up, but everyone knows file guide. So this is a carbide faced file guide. That one there is just a normal. It's mild steel machined. This is from Mr. Derek Rush from Rice Engineering. Okay, and he does 2 different sizes. Let's get the other one. So he does 2 different sizes, a small one and a medium one. And I think he refers to these as bolster alignment clamps. Bolster alignment clamps. Okay, so you can use that. Opening it up, grabbing the blade, slipping it over. All right. And then I'm just going to nip it. Remember, these are bolster alignment clamp is the wrong word. It's not a clamp. Really, if you've got hard and carbide faces and you over tighten this thing, you're going to crack them if the faces have been glued up, like my Bill Binkley over there. That is one from Bill Binkley, which faces have just been glued up, and I had this from 2016. If I clamp too hard and the steel that it's glued to bends, then it's going to pop off. Yeah. So it's not the manufacturer's fault, it's just you being a dumbass. Don't be a dumbass. Okay, so we're just going to nip those up. And now the same thing applies. All right. Get that guy situated, but now you'll see that my file guide is at an angle. So I'm now going to orientate my file guide to be perfectly centered. Then I'm going to flip this around, and I'm going to show you the gates. Let's just clamp this knife in place. Okay, so the gates are these 2 things here, and I can now move them to the center if you unlock them, and I can move them to perfectly center my file guide. So from the front, it's easier doing this from the front to make sure that this thing is perfectly centered. Okay, so I want the same distance. At the bottom, you can see it's not. But you're going to spend the time and you're going to get this thing perfectly centered. And once it's perfectly centered, I can't even wing it. You have to take your time. You have to take your time to set this up absolutely perfectly. And you're only going to have to do that once for your specific thickness of file guide. It's not perfectly centered. I know. Hang on. I'm locking up the gate plates. Yeah, the barn doors, the gate plates. All right. So that is there. You can see it is loose. The file guide is loose, but it will, if I now clamp the file guide to the knife, and the file guide sits at the bottom, It touches the gate, there's zero play. If I now go and I tighten the file guide with the appropriate Allen key, hold on. And obviously that Allen key is not here. And Sean, my lovely assistant, is also not here.
What Allen key are you looking for?
No. If you were here, you would know. I want the Allen key for this file guide. It's not there, buddy. It is not there. Whoever used it didn't put it back. Okay, but I don't want to argue. Find me the Allen key for that one. Woohoo! There we go. Thank you, Sean. I hate it when you've got students. Right. And they can't put a funking thing back where they found it. Right, so now that's been locked up. Now I can remove these supporting bolts. Well, I like keeping them in, but you can remove them. But I'll show you why I say you can remove them. Because now the support and the centering is all managed with your file guide. So if I now want to flip, what I want to do is take that out, flip it over, and those two gate plates and the file guide now keeps everything centered. Done! So I can remove my supporting keys, those two bolts, and I don't even have to set it up. Yep, so if we remove these, and we go through the same setup with the, with that file guide. So all I want to do is I want to just nip up those four. Thank you. And you need to make sure that when you nip these up, right, that you're not protruding. So if you look in there, see how I went through, so my bolt is protruding on the other side. I don't want that. And now I move the bloody gate plate. So when I lock them up, I do not want it to protrude. Because any protrusion you have on the surface on the outside will cause that blade to be pushed away, and we don't want that. Okay, so now that's obviously been set up upside down, but I can do this. Flip her in there. Done. Why doesn't it want to go in? That is my problem. Okay. See how the bolt is protruding? What did I just say? The guy never pays attention, does he? I just said make sure that it doesn't protrude. Alright, so now, first clue that it's correct, everything contacts the file guide. Okay, so there's orientation 1. Now I can go and grind and just flip it over and go for an orientation 2. Now, Niels, I hear you guys ask, why did you not just cut one to fit all file guides? I have 9 file guides, and not a single one of them is the same thickness. Would you mind getting tiny over there? And they come in stupid thicknesses. So, just to give you an idea, I'll get me this thing's Allen key. There we go. Right, so you now know how we work, right? How it works. Right, so now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different thicknesses in file guides. If you get all my other file guides out of the cupboard, please follow them. Bring all of them. Thank you. So there's the other ones. They are all different sizes. Because there's no international bloody standard. So the gates is the only way to go and accommodate for everything out there. Option 1, without file guides. Option 2, with the file guides. The only grinding jig on the market that accommodates for both of those. Done. also, it's the only jig on the market where I'm not forcing you to go and buy one of my file guides. Done, that's it. Easy as that. Drawback, it's made from mild steel. After you've used it, wash the thing. Take your air compressor, keep it dry, and it will not rust. Easy as that. Yeah. Take care of your tools, and your tools will take care of you. Use the tool. Do not be a tool. Easy as that. Any questions? Any questions? Funny joke, I like that. Nothing, no questions. All right, well, that was it. Done. Quick way of doing it. Yeah. So how would I set it up? If I've got a small little knife like this one, once again, fitted, lamp it. Lamp it, lamp it, damn it. See, my knife is at an angle. All right, I'm making sure that my edge but protruding 2.5 millimeters above the jig. Where am I going to put a bolt? I might put a bolt in there. Okay, so I'm going to find my bolts. Don't know where my bolts are. There we go. So put one on the second one there. Okay, take my knife, stick it in there, and then see, there's the hole. There's its little mate. Stick a second one in there. Just a little shelf. Drop it. Hold on to it. Where's my little handy helper? Handy helper is going to keep it down so I can check. Come on, keep it down. Don't adjust your stuff. All right. Oh, Sean, would you mind? No. There we go. Now I can flip it over. Oh yeah, that's good. Now I can go and fit my file guide. So take it off. And I can fit the file guide. Or I can just use the standard method. Marker. And I'm just going to mark. So at the top here, I'm just going to make a little mark. You just need a little visual indicator. But when I flip this blade around, I want it to sit on that curve in exactly the same fashion. Right? So to show you, take that off. Flip my knife over. I will now have to replicate that bolt on this side and move that bolt to this side. All right? So let's do that. This one goes second from the top where my thumb is. That is there. That one, last row top. Last row top. Now, that knife fit there, and it fits there, and my alignment, I'm going to move it. You see the little black line? I'm going to move it until it hits up right there, and I'm going to clap it down, and I can go grind. Easy as that. Done. This one's already ground, so I need to do just the other side, right? So we're going to flip everything again. But you get the idea. Happiness? Done. Is there a built-in protractor? No. Why would you want a built-in protractor? Tell me that. Because you can't measure? The angle there, it's got nothing to do with the included angle that your bevel will be cut at. Absolutely nothing. So even if I put a protractor on here, that is going to mean from the center how much these plates are against each other. Does that make sense? How much that angle is. So if I loosen this, protractor is going to tell me how much that angle is. it's not going to tell me what the included angle of the knife is. Even if you go and buy one of these digital little measuring jobs, this is also not going to give you the angle, because you'll need to do math. So even this thing, it's a nice little one, but it measures from a single corner. It measures from this corner. So if I've got it down and I do this, you'll see it increases and it decreases. So even if you put this on the plate, like so, it ain't going to do nothing. All right? Because this needs to change. So I can't do that, because then it won't measure. I can do that, but then it won't stick. But it won't measure because it measures from this left bottom corner. But Niels, you can turn it around. Yes, I can. But it still measures that angle. Does that make sense? No. So what you want is just forget this. Go up to your grinder. Stick this thing on there. Okay, in the way that you need it. Clamp it down. It has to be there. I can, and I have done the math to put a grid system on here that will, within 2 degrees, give you the angle. But there's a difference between a 17 degree and a 20 degree. That degree is 3. So I cannot guarantee that you will get within 3 degrees. This is not precision engineering. Yeah, this is just laser cut stuff and welded up by a bloke in Africa. So, that's all I'm going to say about that. Well, I hope that makes sense. And I didn't mean to be rude or anything. If it came across that way, well, take it as such. I haven't offended anyone yet today. But you get what I'm saying. I've gone through this. I've had numerous discussions. One with a professor of trigonometry at University of Victoria. And even he told me, why the hell do you want to do that? It's got nothing to do with the actual edge angle. All right, so that edge angle, that there, is going to be 90 degrees. 90 degrees to the platen that you're going to be running at. Yeah? And I don't know how many of your machines where when the belt runs, Sean? Yeah, so there's my belt. When the belt runs, how many of your rests, your little table, is actually perfectly 90 degrees. So if that setup is perfectly 90 degrees, then the math makes sense. All right. So finding that angle is a matter of bringing this over and then guessing what it should be. Does it make sense? Then you're going to start grinding. Make it over it a bit more, which is going to have a steeper angle, and you grind. Oh, it's not there yet, so you just decrease the angle. Grind a bit. Oh, it's not there yet. Decrease the angle. Oh, I'm there. Now lock everything up and make sure it doesn't move again. All right. And now you can flip your knife left and right, left and right, left and right, and both of them will be exactly at the same height. That's it. Does it make sense? Yes, it does. Well, in my mind. Remember, design and manufacture it in Africa. You pay what you get for. You pay what you get for. You get what you pay for. This is the cheapest and most over-engineered, well, not most over-engineered, but most thought of grinding jig on the market. Done. That's it. Use it. Don't use it. File guides, no file guides. No one cares. Done. Only thing this does is while you are grinding, there's my grinding belt. Right, or my platen. All this does, it eliminates. I don't know, would you mind just hold my belt upright, man? Damn it. Okay, so all this does, if you are freehand grinding, it eliminates that plane of movement, that plane of movement. Well, it doesn't eliminate. It eliminates that plane of movement and that plane of movement. So you still have control over that plane of movement. This one removes that and that. Just leave 2 of the 3 of your potential problems have been solved. Done. Okay, that was it. Gentlemen, hope you had fun. I did. See you on the next one. Cheers.